Hello and welcome to this super simple tropical sunset painting. I'm going to show you what brushes we need to start off with. We need our large flat brush, our fan brush, and our angle brush, and our fan brush. Those are pretty much the essentials that we need for this painting. And I'm going to get started by using warm yellow, red, and white. So we're going to get started by dipping our large flat brush in our yellow paint, going back and forth there for a second, then adding in some red to make orange, because yellow and red make orange. Go back and forth, blending those two colors together. Nice gentle strokes back and forth, making it all the way from one side to the other, not lifting our brush very much. And the less pressure we have on our brush, the nicer the paint is going to spread. So then without washing our brush, we're going to keep going with that yellow, making our way down and then back up a little bit to blend those two colors together. So now we got a nice transition from that orange to that yellow. Dipped it in the yellow again. Keep going back and forth, back and forth. And then I always make my way back up and then start again and make my way back up to make sure everything blends together nicely. And then I'm dipping it in that white because I want the last layer of our sunset to be a brighter color. Because that's how sunset works. It goes brighter to darker because the sun is setting. So the sun is going to be on the lowest part of the horizon line. So then just dip it in the white paint, but remember to always make your way back up so everything blends together. So keep going with that white until I'm happy with the lightness. Back and forth, back and forth. Then I'm going to dip back in that yellow. And then I'm going to dip it again back in that red because I want to finish off the canvas so it's parallel to each other. So this part we're doing is the water. So then if I found it was too red, I just add in more yellow to make it that nice orange. And I make it up into that middle part. Added in more yellow, so I'm getting that more of that orange. Back and forth. It's a little bit darker up there than I would like, but I'm still happy with it. Adding a little bit of red down at the bottom here so I can darken that up because this is going to be our water. And keep going until you're happy with the orange background. That bottom part is going to be darker. Make my way up and then I lighten off my brush as I make my way into that white so it still blends but it doesn't overtake. The lighter you are on your brush, the nicer the paint will just sit on top rather than overtaking that color. But here I just dipped it into that white because I really want to lighten off the top part of my water as if the sun is glowing. And notice now that it's all parallel, so it's dark to light, then back to light to darker to darkest for the water. So now I'm grabbing my angle brush, or if you have a small rounded end brush there, that can work too. And I'm just making a small little circle with some white and some yellow mixed together. More white than yellow, just a tad bit of yellow, more white, so you get a nice light color. And this is our sun, just a small circle sitting right there. I want to lighten it up even more, so I'm adding a little bit more white into it. Nice and light, making it as circular as possible. And then once I have the sun the way I want it, I'm going to take my angle brush or my small rounded end brush, whichever you have, whichever you like. If it's your angle brush, use that angle part, not the flat part. Dip it in the white paint. And you're just going to add light lines going down towards the bottom of your canvas. So this is the glow of your tropical sun onto the water. So just nice light. It can blend into those colors. You just want a lighter area going down towards the bottom. So it's bigger at the top because that's where the sun is. So the light's going to hit the largest there and it's going to taper off as you make your way to the bottom. And I used very little paint for this and I'm very light on my brush. So dip it. I always say less is more because you can always add more paint, but it's harder to take away more paint or more frustrating. So once I finish that, I'm nice and light on my brush again. I'm just adding in lighter highlights throughout that lighter area that I just did. So I'm just going over top with more white, and I'm just doing lines throughout that lighter area as I make my way to the bottom. Again, less is more. You can always add more afterwards, but it's harder to take away. Okay, we're cruising right along here. I'm going to grab that angle brush, clean it off, dry it off. Always start off with a dry brush. And I'm going to form little mountain peaks right underneath that sun. And a line going from the water line to the sky. I'm going to fill that in black. And it's okay if some of your lighter bits go into it. That's all right. Kind of gives it a little bit more of a realistic look, as if those mountains are shining from your sun. So again, less is more. Nice and light on my brush. I'm getting a straighter line. The lighter I am on my brush, the straighter my line is going to be. And then if you want to make it nice and straight, breathe in. And then as you're going across, breathe out, and your hand will stay steady. And finish off those mountains, and then we'll start onto our palm tree, which is the last piece that's going to bring this all together. So I like to make a little piece of land. I go off into the corner, fill that corner in black, the whole thing, and then we'll start off with our palm tree using that same brush, and then we're going to move on to our fan brush. So using that angle brush and dipping it back in that black paint, I'm using my flat part, making my way up, and then I'm moving it onto my angle part when I want to taper it off at the top. So flat, then move it towards the angle to kind of get that small peak at the top. And then I make a little circle, but don't worry too much if you don't have that thin at the top. That's okay, because we're going to be covering it up with these big leaves. So then you make lines off of that circle at the top, almost like a windmill. And then I can show you using the angle part of your brush. If you prefer to use your angle brush, you're going to make lines going down towards the center of your tree, diagonal lines. Or you can use your fan brush, using that edge of your fan brush, dipping it in black paint, and make sure all your bristles go the same way. So they're all going on an angle up towards the sky, because trees grow upwards, so they're always going up. And then the ones that are around the bottom of the circle, those go the same direction, but they're going to be facing towards the ground. So make sure all your lines go in the same direction. So they're diagonal lines going towards the end of your branch. So start at that middle point and make your lines go down towards the end of your branch. And make them as fluffy, and they can overlap. You can use your angle brush if you find that easier to make those diagonal lines. But I like to make my palm trees really thick, and so this almost looks like the tree branches and the leaves, they look like feathers. There's a bunch of feathers all around in a circle. And the thing I love about the fan brush, it's quicker, and it kind of gives that natural palm tree look. So then you can always add in, if you're thinking, oh, there's a space there, that's a little bit, you can add in more leaves if it's like a little empty, or you can add in an extra branch. Always take a step away from your canvas too. Like I like to go like 3 feet away. I don't just hold it up. I have to walk away, and then from a distance you can see what you want to add and what you want to take away. So then keep adjusting your palm tree until you're happy with it. Once you're happy with that palm tree, you're gonna take a little bit of white paint, just a tiny bit, without washing your brush off, and adding just little light white highlights with the same type of technique that you did making those branches in the first place, or making those leaves. You're just adding a nice light highlight over some of those areas where the sun will be hitting your palm tree. If you find it's a little bit too dark, easy fix. All you have to do is take some black paint and go over those white areas to kind of soften it up. And after you finish that, you have yourself your very own tropical sunset acrylic painting. Super simple painting. If you enjoyed this, could you please rate and review my Facebook page and my website? I also am starting up a private Facebook page called Neighbors Designs Paint Club, where you can ask me questions, you can share your paintings, and it's a community-based painting club where everybody can ask. And I have exclusives where I'm letting you know what's coming up next, what paintings are the easiest, etc. So if you want to join that, please feel free. Join me on my Facebook page, and you can also subscribe to my YouTube page. Again, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope I get to see you again next time. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye.